Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports, the show where we provide you with the latest news in the world of sports and here at Cal State Fullerton. I'm Justin Rosette.
Hey everyone, I'm Sasha Pytell.
What's up, Titan Sports fans? I'm Christian Elias.
Hey everybody, I'm Jonathan Mansour. We have a lot to talk about, so without further ado, let's get the ball rolling.
Game 7 of the 2025 World Series came down to heart, grit, and championship DNA, delivering pure baseball cinema. When the stakes were high, the Los Angeles Dodgers showed why they have a chance to become the new modern dynasty. In Toronto, the Blue Jays appeared ready to celebrate their first title in over 3 decades. Bo Bichette's 3-run blast in the third helped Toronto build a 3-0 lead, and the energy inside Rogers Center was electric. But the Dodgers responded like the champions they are, staying composed and clawing back into the game. Max Muncy sparked the rally with the homer in the 8th, and with 1 out in the 9th, veteran Miguel Rojas, better known for his glove than his bat, shocked the stadium with a game-tying blast. This was the first ever 9th-inning tying homer in a World Series Game 7. Extra innings followed, and that's where LA finished it off. In the 11th inning, Will Smith, steady and clutch all October, launched a solo shot to give the Dodgers a 5-4 lead. Then came the final push. To keep it short, Yoshinobu Yamamoto entered and shut the door. A ground ball, a double play made by Mookie Betts, and the celebration was on. Back-to-back World Series champions, proving once again that the Dodgers shine when it matters the most. This cements the Dodgers' place in baseball history as the first repeat champion since the early 2000s New York Yankees. This was truly a Game 7 that lived up to the moment, and another title that shows the Dodgers are the standard in Major League Baseball today. So you guys, one of the greatest baseball games, for me personally, sports games, probably the best World Series Game 7 of all time. Just first, Dodgers back-to-back champions now. Take me through your guys' thoughts. Christian, you're a Dodger fan, so I'm going to come to you first. What are your emotions going through this game? The Dodgers are down, they're up. What were your thoughts going through this roller coaster of a game?
Well, like you said, this whole game, once again, was cinema. And obviously, the big 2 clutch. I mean, it's not easy overcoming 3-0 and a 4-2 deficits, but obviously, one of the big highlights of this game, obviously, I'm going to give a big shout out to Pius, right? He had done nothing this whole series, and that one big clutch to get that one fly out really changed the whole trajectory. Again, they Miguel Rojas in the clutch was sending the ball to home plate. A lot of trajectory changes in this part, and this is what I'm really glad about. Another thing too, Yoshi. I mean, he pitched Game 6, and then he comes out pitched to Game 7 to clutch it out with the win. A lot of emotions going out. I thought this game was over, but the offense stayed true to himself. They clutched it when they mattered the most. Back-to-back champions. Expect to parade again once again next year with this Dodgers team. And the dynasty, it's looking in the midst right now for this team.
I mean, how do you not start without Yoshinobu Yamamoto? He became the 14th pitcher to win 3 World Series games himself. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I'm very happy that he was awarded the World Series MVP. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, though, his small lead at third base is a big mistake that's being very magnified at the bottom of the 9th inning. But I'll take it back to the bottom of the 8th where the Blue Jays really lost this game. Clement, he started the inning off with a leadoff double. And who did the Dodgers have on the top of the 9th? They have Shohei Ohtani in a 1-run game up to bat. So the Blue Jays knew that they needed that extra insurance run to avoid a single homer by Ohtani. Ended up being Miguel Rojas, but point stands. Jimenez, he was up to bat, and instead of bunting to try and get Clement to third base, he lined out. He was showing bunt, pulled back, and lined out. That was a big mistake that is not getting talked about enough. And unfortunately, you were right. This dynasty is kind of starting to start, and if they win another one in the next 2 years, which honestly they might just win next year because they're probably going to get Paul Skeens or Scooble or Kyle Tucker. We don't know, but this dynasty is starting, and it's unfortunate for baseball fans. If you're not a Dodger fan,
yes.
I thought it was really entertaining to see both teams. I can't get over that the Blue Jays were just 2 outs away from the title. They were in a lot of high leverage situations, but they just couldn't convert. So that was frustrating because I was kind of hoping that they were going to come out on top. They had 12 hits and 4 walks in the 11th inning, which was really a huge number of opportunities to score, but they left the bases loaded twice, which was crazy. So I think that just goes to show that the math side of baseball isn't like what it is in the end. It's really just the pressure that's applied. And I think these stats suggest that they should have won, but they just couldn't in the end because of the Dodgers' clutch pitching. Like you said, Yamamoto, he had 2.2 innings, 5 strikeouts, and 0 runs. So their defense really turned those potential hits into outs. And so my takeaway was how really unpredictable this game was.
Yeah, I think kind of what Sasha pointed to, one thing that I really noticed while watching this game is the Blue Jays were so close. Like, the fans of Toronto, it's been 3 decades. They were so close. Even in that, I believe it was the 9th inning before Rojas hit the home run, they're 2 outs away. Vladdy, they're all just like sitting there waiting at the bullpen, waiting to run out, celebrate. It's like they can picture it. But then obviously, just shaking his head. But obviously it just gets pulled away just like that. I think for me, this is one of the greatest like sports experiences I had watching this game. I was at Dave & Buster's with a bunch of Dodger fans, so like everyone's yelling. It was an electric game, and just the moments, the Rojas home run, like you pointed to, Rojas's throw, like
inches away from his fool's inches away from home plate.
He stumbled, almost fell, and still made that throw. And then Will Smith's foot comes off the plate, right? So that was close. And then Paul has his catch where he absolutely dunked on Kike and made the catch in outfield. I mean, there was just so many moments. It was such an electric game. One thing I want to point out, the Dodgers next season, they have pretty much for their roster, 2 key free agents, Kike Hernandez and Miguel Rojas. Obviously, you saw how valuable Rojas was.
So scary.
Honestly, like, those 2 guys are important to the team, but if they bring those guys back, I mean, you're looking at another team more complete with bullpen guys that are going to be healthy. Also, they were batting .203 in the World Series. This is the lowest from a winning team since 1966. So what's going to happen next year when their main hitters are actually hitting and they have bullpen pitching? I'm sorry, but I think it's over for the league, bro. It's just like, who else is going to have a chance? They played not bad, but compared to that standard, they batted .203 and they still won. So,
yeah, and with the money they got, anything can happen with this Dodgers team. The parade looked great. Unfortunately, I was able to make it, but I'll be there for the Laker parade. Don't worry.
Hopefully.
$8 billion? Do I hear $9 billion? Sold for $10 billion. Sports investor and billionaire Mark Walter is officially the new owner of the LA Lakers after the NBA Board of Governors approved his high-stakes offer. The $10 billion deal now tops the record as the largest pro sports team sale, right after the $6.1 billion purchase for the Boston Celtics earlier this year. The Guggenheim & Partners CEO expands his sports team ownership collection. He has a history of joining group purchases and partly owns teams like the Dodgers, LA Sparks, and Chelsea Football Club. The late Dr. Jerry Booth originally purchased the Lakers in 1979 for $67.5 million. Although the Booth family is handling majority ownership to Walter, Lakers heir Jeannie Buss will remain the team's governor and oversee daily operations over the next 5 years with a 15% minority share. So, what are your guys' opinions on the Lakers' new ownership?
For me, the biggest thing is we finally passed the Celtics in something. I mean, right? The Celtics, they had the biggest purchase with $6 billion. Lakers say $10 billion. But honestly, this doesn't mean too much for me. I think what I care more about is their product on the court. But, I mean, we saw Mark Walter, the Dodgers owner. We've seen the things he was able to do, the way he's able to finesse these contracts and things like that. So, hey, I'm a Dodger hater, but if you can do that for the Lakers, I'll love it. I'm a Laker fan, so if he can get, I don't know, Giannis on a $70 million contract with only $2 million per year and then pay the other $68 later, I'll be completely fine with that. But overall, I'm more worried about what's happening on the court. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but the Lakers are looking great right now, so I'm fine with that, honestly. As long as, I'm sure he'll do his thing. He'll try to make the best for the Lakers, so I'm happy with the signing, honestly.
No, I think this is actually very substantial to the on-court stuff, especially because under Jeannie Buss, you never saw the Lakers kind of spend invest into their front office or their facilities, kind of like that. Now with Walter, you get that luxury. He can now invest into the front office. You can now hire some better scouts to look into future players. And then also possible renovations to Crypto.com Arena, which is one of the more older arenas in the NBA. And now the most important thing is the Lakers can now afford to go into the luxury tax that the second apron brings in the NBA. It's a huge benefit, but just most importantly, the behind-the-scenes infrastructure for the Lakers should improve. And then quickly, just to know, Dr. Buss was a game-changing owner for the Lakers. His legacy with the team has been carried on by Jeannie, and she did a great job. I've honestly pretty shocked when the news first came out. I never thought I'd see the Lakers under a new management. I've always thought that the Buss family would kind of run this team, but big move by them.
Yeah, I do think, and it's perfect time that Mark Walter ended up buying the Lakers at this moment, because you're looking at this Lakers squad, they're doing phenomenal. It's still early in the season, but they're doing great. They've been winning without LeBron, and then last night they won without Reeves and Luka. So this young squad, they're still able to get it done even without these crucial pieces missing on their roster. So it's a great time, and like you mentioned, hopefully we can expect some more blockbuster trades from Mark Walter for this Lakers team, because it's only up from here, especially with LeBron. His time playing in the league is going to close out very, very soon. So this Lakers squad is very young. It's talented. Luka still has a lot of the years left in him. Reeves is still young. You got Connect, and then LaRavia, who's been making a name for himself. A lot of guys on this team are making names for themselves on this Lakers team. With Mark Walter here, I think it's going to be great for the Lakers to finally get another dynasty back in LA.
I think so as well. I think it's kind of like a trade-off, because with corporate ownerships comes more costs. I feel like we'll start seeing like high ticket prices and premium seat packages as part of like modernizing the brand. So I just think the more emphasis on luxury experiences, as you were saying, shows like that there might be more VIP access and like club lounges, and that might make the regular fans feel more outpriced. So I just hope that with Jeannie Buss being involved, he can still balance that out to keep that like emotional, family-driven decision-making side of the sport versus just have it become like more business logic.
The Buffalo Bills defeated the Kansas City Chiefs this past Sunday 28-21 in a rivalry classic. The Bills are now 5-3 in the last 8 matchups against the Chiefs since 2021. The Bills struck early on their first possession after a long 11-play drive, capped off by a 23-yard touchdown to Dalton Kincaid. The Chiefs later responded in the second quarter with a Rashee Rice touchdown to even it up 7-7. The Chiefs had their first lead of the game after a 46-yard field goal from Harrison Butker made it 10-7. The lead did not last long though, as the Bills responded with touchdowns from Ty Johnson and Josh Allen, entering halftime leading 21-13. After a very, very dry third quarter, Josh Allen scored once again to increase their lead 28-13. Kareem Hunt answered with a rushing touchdown to keep it a one-possession game after forcing the Bills to punt. Mahomes got the ball back, but was later intercepted by Bills corner Maxwell Hairston. Matt Prater later missed a field goal and gave the Chiefs one last chance on 3rd and 10 with 3 seconds left on the clock. Mahomes launched a desperation prayer that was forced incomplete, securing the win for the Bills. The Bills currently sit at 6-2, second in the AFC East, just behind the 7-2 New England Patriots. As for the Chiefs, they are now 5-4 on the year, sitting 3rd in the AFC West, with a bye week ahead of them to regroup and complete what? Oh, Jesus Christ. And compete. Let's just restart that last paragraph, Colin. Sorry, man. I saw an L.
In 5, 4,
The what?
3, 2.
The Bills currently sit at 6-2, second in the AFC East, just behind the 7-2 New England Patriots. As for the Chiefs, they are now 5-4 on the year, sitting 3rd in the AFC West, with a bye week ahead of them to regroup and compete once again in the AFC. The Chiefs, are 8th place in the AFC conference that is outside of the playoffs. Do you guys think they can turn it around?
I mean, I see this every year, and at the end of the day, it's the Chiefs. They're going to find a way to bounce back, because it's been a minute since the Chiefs were out of the playoff picture. They're just 1 seed behind currently right now, but if you really want to get back in the race, they're going to have to, step up in this AFC West right now, because currently, your Chargers currently hold the 6th seed right now, and they do have they're currently 1-0 against them right now so far in the division, and the Broncos are 3rd in the AFC, 1st in the division. So they're going to have to get past that AFC West soon first if they want to start competing here. Just because the Patriots right now, they're looking great. The Colts, they're going all in right now, which we'll get into soon at the end of this too. And then everything in the AFC, it's looking extremely competitive here. So it's still Mahomes at the end of the day, but I'm going to need a lot of turnaround. The run game specifically, Kareem Hunt, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. The run game hasn't been so impactful for the Chiefs this season. That's going to be one of the big steps on there. On the receiving end, Rice and Marquise Brown, they have some decently good games, but this receiving core is going to have to step up a little bit from Mahomes. It's still Mahomes. He's still going to work his magic. they're going to find some time, but the O-line as well. Mahomes was pressured 56.2% of his dropbacks and sacked 3 times. So this offense, they're going to need a lot of regrouping. Mahomes is not going to be able to do everything. All his assets, they're going to come to help him if they want to get out of that 8th seed and finally make a push.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, exactly. When you look at the Chiefs, just 4 of their third downs out of 13 were less than 7 yards. So I feel like they're trying to make their run game an extension of their passing game. They're trying to kind of like get the people off their back, and it seems like they don't want to run their offense through whoever was in the backfield in this game. So 61.8 rushing yard grade on early downs, 25th in most explosive runs from their running back position this season, and only have 2 missed tackles forced on early downs. So I feel like the Chiefs are just not dynamic enough in the backfield on early downs, which makes them really like less of a threat to other teams. And then that's how we got games like the one we just saw. Patrick Mahomes had a 44% completion percentage in this game, which is the lowest single game completion percentage of his career. So I feel like we just saw him pushing the ball down so far down the field when he really didn't have to, but I think he was just because he could see like they don't trust themselves enough and they're dynamic in the backfield, and then that's why he did that. And I feel like that's kind of how the Bills got the advantage and won.
I think that's a great point. Thinking about the Chiefs, in their whole run, kind of like dynasty run that they had, it was kind of Kareem Hunt, it was Isaiah Pacheco. They had good running backs, but I think right now Hunt's kind of towards the end of his career. Pacheco has fallen off a bit, so they don't really have a running back they can trust, and that does put more pressure on Mahomes, as you stated. I think overall about the Chiefs, I'm not really too worried. I think they just got Rashee Rice back. Travis Kelce's looked good recently. Coming into this week, they've looked a lot better. So I think going into Buffalo, it's cold. You're playing in Buffalo. It's a high stakes game. Playing against Josh Allen, it's always a high stakes game for the Chiefs. So I think this loss doesn't mean too much to me. But as you said, Christian, they're going to go into the bye week. But even after the bye week, they play the Broncos and they play the Colts. So that's a crazy 2 weeks to have out of the bye week. And I guess we're really going to see those 2 games for me are going to tell us, are the Chiefs still the Chiefs of old, or are we potentially seeing them kind of falling behind in the division? So I'm really looking forward to that Broncos game. That'll be the first time they play this season. That's going to be huge in terms of the division. So that's going to be a big game. But overall, not too worried about the Chiefs.
You guys kind of mentioned it. Their run game just hasn't been able to get going all season. And then especially on Sunday, Pacheco was out. He got hurt. So it just made that a little harder. But Kareem Hunt, I think, served well. I think it's more the Bills just played really good. I think the Chiefs just were in a lot of duress the whole game. Joey Bosa, he just kept giving constant pressure on Mahomes, especially late in the game. And then for the first time, the Chiefs allowed a runner to get over 100 yards on the ground, and that's the first time in 33 games. So James Cook, he went absolutely off. Josh Allen, he was able to complete passes to 10 different players. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is healthy, to my understanding, unless I'm missing something. But absolutely got picked apart. And then on offense, you kind of want to see Xavier Worthy kind of get going a little bit. He hasn't been kind of in the rhythm ever since Rashee Rice came back, which is kind of understandable. Mm-hmm. But hey, the Bills, they beat the Chiefs again in the regular season. But it doesn't matter because they always lose to them in the playoffs.
When it matters, yeah.
We'll finally see if that happens. But for the Bills, just to continue on the season, this is finally their most legitimate win of the year, in my opinion.
The Cal State Fullerton women's soccer team is off to a hot start in the Big West Conference as they take a narrow victory over the Bakersfield with a last-minute goal on Sunday. The Titans left the Roadrunners in the dust for the second time in a row, going back to last Thursday's regular season finale. Despite outshooting the Roadrunners 6-3, the Titans couldn't put up one through the back of the net, staying 0-0 at the first half. The Titans, however, maintained the momentum and stretched the second half of the game down in the final seconds. Midfielder Shannon Nedekoven took over a back pass from defender Isabella Cruz to send it over to Sel Bosnovic near the box. Fulton received a helpful tap from a Roadrunner defender, scoring on an own goal in the 89th minute and ultimately handing the Titans a 1-0 win in the first round of the Big West. After 4 consecutive losses in the Big West tournament, the Titans have redeemed themselves and now look to the semifinals against the number 2 Cal Poly Mustangs this Thursday. So guys, once again, the Cal State women's soccer team is still continuing to show a lot of dominance on the offensive side, outshooting the Roadrunners 20-8, 8 of which being on goal. They're able to shoot, they're able to get going, but I still think they need to go better on finishing. So coming into this game, what do you guys expect for this women's team?
I think, Christian, like you said, dominating on the offensive side, I would say not so much. 2 out of their last 3 wins have come by own goal, like a 1-0 own goal. So they haven't, in those 2 games, they weren't able to score themselves. And in both those games, I was able to be at this playoff game. And second half, like the fans, everyone was yelling. People were yelling at the referees. It was just so tense and so hectic. I think for this team, it was cool because this was their first, as we said, 4 straight losses in the Big West playoffs. This was their first playoff win since before COVID. And that's just saying a lot because they've been in the playoffs every year. They just haven't been able to win. And so this team overall, they're just so resilient. I mean, all year you think about the scooter incident that happened with their teammates, Lauren Turner and Ashlyn Gwynn. And just every game since then, they've always talked about it like, oh, we're doing this for them. We're doing this for them. I think even if they would have lost this game, it would have been still a great season for them. But coming out, winning this playoff game after not winning one for so many years, and after the game, I was able to talk to Isaac Renson, talk to Coach, and also Isabella Cruz, and they're just pointing out, like, we're doing it for the players that can't be here. So just such a beautiful thing for this team this year, and I'm hoping they can keep that momentum going. But even if they can't, this season is more than a success based on everything they've been through.
Yeah, it's definitely really great. It's an overall record boost for them as well. The Titans are now 14-2-3 overall, and then 6-2-2 in conference play. So I think they're really showing that they're one of the top teams in the Big West this season, which has just been a really steady, great, strong improvement for them. So the fact that they're putting up those numbers is really amazing. And they've definitely proved they're contenders, and I think that they're really setting themselves up for a strong semifinals game.
I mean, Justin and Christian, you guys kind of alluded to it. The Titans in the last 2 home games, they've won off of own goals, just 1-0, and both of them have been own goals. Good teams find ways to win, and that's exactly what they're doing. The offense is still generating a lot of shots, like you said, and they just need to find the back of the net. It's simple as that. Hopefully they can kind of get that luck on their side against Cal Poly on Thursday. Looking into this Cal Poly match on Thursday, in the regular season matchup against Cal Poly, they lost 2-0, and it was kind of a very uncharacteristic game as they were outshot 12-3. And the 3 shots by the Titans on that game was tied for their lowest in a game all year. So I kind of expect a different result this time around. So let's go Titans.
Yeah, like you mentioned, good teams find a way to win. They just need to finish on the offensive side to actually get those goals finally back in the net.
I think also after the last game, talking to Coach Brown, I asked him, like, how does it feel, I guess, to go into the game's going to be at Northridge, but going to Northridge and having a chance to get revenge against Cal Poly. And it was interesting what he said because he was like, we don't look at it as revenge. We just look at it as doing our job, doing what we can control, and trying to win the game. So I think Coach and the players are very focused, and I have high hopes for this tournament game. If they win, they'll be in the Big West Championship on Sunday, I believe. So next time we come, we could have some very good news about this women's soccer team. But best of luck to them.
Going back over to the gridiron, we are officially halfway through the 2025 season, and things are really starting to take shape. So let's tackle another timeout talk. All right, guys. I will state 3 different reactions about an NFL team or player, and you will each state if you believe it is a fact or if it's straight up fiction. For the first one, the Packers aren't a contender. Jonathan, I'm going to come to you on this one. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fiction here. This offense is so inconsistent, which is kind of crazy because they got Micah Parsons in the first 2, and then they beat the Detroit Lions in week 1, and everyone's all of a sudden on this high. Oh, my God, the Packers, they're going to do it. This is their year. This is their year. This is their year. And then they lose to the Browns and the Panthers. They barely beat a Commanders team who was very hurt. Jane Daniels got hurt that week. They barely beat the Arizona Cardinals. None of their wins have been convincing. I guess the most convincing you can say is maybe the Steelers win in week 8. Now, you can say week 1, but week 1, it's just a lot of uncertainty. It can go really either way. So I'm going to go fiction here, especially because also the NFC North is very tough, and they still have 2 more games against the Vikings, 2 more games against the Browns, against the Bears, and then 1 more game against Detroit, which is going to be in Detroit.
So you don't think they're contenders?
Yeah, if maybe that was my fault. I said aren't a contender. Maybe I didn't say it right. Yeah,
my bad.
So it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Okay,
sorry.
just double check. Yeah, that's maybe my fault on my part. But yeah, okay. So
they are not contenders. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. Sorry. Hello. Testing. Okay. Whoa. I don't know what happened to my voice. Okay. Jonathan, I have to agree with you. I don't think the Packers are contenders either. They just lost to a Bryce Young-led Panthers team, and the Panthers 5-3. I was surprised to see that there. I thought they were going to be like 2-7 or something, but they're 5-3. And Bryce Young went 11 for 20 with 102 yards and an interception. So no, by no means was it a great game from Bryce Young, but the Packers have been a relatively good team at stopping the run, but Rico Dowdle was able to run all over them, 100-plus yards, multiple touchdowns last week. So overall, also, one big thing, Jordan Love's favorite target this year, Tucker Kraft, just tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the season now. So in my mind, and are the Packers contenders? I would say no, maybe in the upcoming years when they're healthy and they can get their defense a little better together. But right now, I don't think serious contenders to win the Super Bowl. I don't think so, not this season.
I'm going to go with fiction for this one. I believe that they're first in the NFC North this season. And then offensively, that they're averaging 343 total yards per game right now. And defensively, holding opponents to 15.5 points per game in the early data. And I just feel like their biggest red flag right now is just their rushing attack, because they're only middling just over 106 rushing yards per game, which puts them at 18th in the league. So if their ground game fizzles, I think that they could be exposed there. But yes, I do think that they're contenders because their foundational stats align them with the team that could be potentially set up to win. It's just the only downside is like their depth and their consistency. But to say that they're not in the mix, I just feel like would be incorrect.
Yeah, I see what you're putting on that one. You know, they are currently on top of the North right now, but I mean, it's just the inconsistency with this Packers team, especially Jordan Love. And one of the things I touched up is, you know, if Josh Jacobs can get it going, it's going to be up to Jordan Love. We saw that in the Steelers game. Josh Jacobs wasn't having a phenomenal game. Jordan Love stepped up, and that's exactly why they got him the game. But you see this one at this part. Josh Jacobs got going late, and Jordan Love still wasn't able to regroup on that. So it just comes down to consistency. And you're looking at the NFC right now currently. The Eagles are at the top seed right now in the NFC. I don't think they're getting past the Eagles. The Bucks, I'm 50-50 on that just because of the injuries the Bucks are sustaining right now. The Seahawks, with how great their defense is looking, with Sam Darnold's been cooking up, I doubt that. I don't think they're going to get it past the Rams, and I definitely don't think they're going to run it back against the Lions. So I'm going to agree with you guys here. I do think this is a fact the Packers aren't contenders. But keeping it within the NFC with the next talking point, Matthew Stafford putting on an MVP season, fact or fiction?
I'm gonna say fact, but I think I did that earlier in the season. Fact, but I think fact, stat-wise, he leads the league in passing touchdowns with 21. He only has 2 interceptions. If you look at their 2 losses earlier in the season against the Eagles and against the 49ers, if it wasn't for 2 special teams mishaps, this team might be 8-0, right? And so I think looking at those things, Matthew Stafford is putting up an MVP caliber season, but he's not going to win the award. I think when it comes to the MVP award, it usually goes to like the more, I don't know, Matthew Stafford's, I guess, a flashy player. He makes the sidearm throws, but he's just always been under the radar guy. It's probably going to go to somebody like a Mahomes, or like maybe they'll even give it to a Josh Allen. I think the NFL MVP is funny because the first 8 to 10 weeks is kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like this year, there's no one that's really running away with it. I mean, I would say maybe Jonathan Taylor, but he's also not going to win because he's a running back. But I think Matthew Stafford, this could be a season he wins. I think he just is so far under the radar every season. People are kind of like, oh, he's really good, but not MVP. But when you look at his numbers, I think he should be in that conversation. So I think he's an MVP quality candidate, yes, but I don't think he'll win the award.
I completely agree with you. I think it's a fact, but there's clearly some caveats because he does put up the numbers. He has thrown 21 touchdowns and just had 2 interceptions. And then his yards per attempt are up 7.8, and his passer rating is soaring 113.2. So that puts him in the top tier of quarterbacks this year. Definitely the caveat, though, is that being the MVP doesn't just mean having these great stats. It also means having a great performance. So I think his team also needs to back him up with this as well, and he could do more for the team. They just need to stay late to fully lock that in. But yes, I do think that statistically he's performing as an MVP, but there just needs to be more to really give him that title.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with you guys there. He definitely is putting on an MVP season. We're going to wait to see. I doubt he is going to win it, but like you said, stat category and everything, he is balling. And then another thing to point out, too, he didn't have Puka in Week 7 against the Jaguars. A lot of people, from what I saw, they thought that was going to be a big impact, but it wasn't. He still threw for 5 touchdowns. So even without his number 1 receiver, Matthew Stafford can still put on a show. He's a very consistent quarterback. He doesn't turn over the ball. You want a reliable quarterback, you want to go for Matthew Stafford, but just this season's been weird. Like we mentioned, there hasn't been a top team. There hasn't been a player that's, runaway favorite with the MVP. There's a lot of conversation for this one, but I definitely do think Matthew Stafford, he is putting on an agenda for an MVP caliber season.
Definitely. He's been putting up a good case for it, especially because if you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, it is 21-2. What? That is absurd.
I'm slut.
But the Rams, like you alluded to, Coach Sasha, like they're winning. This team is helping him out a lot as well. Like their defense is playing really good. Now they have a very crucial stretch coming up right now. They have the 49ers this week, who they just lost to in week 5. They have still games against the Buccaneers, the Lions. They play the Seahawks 2 more times. So it's a very tough stretch. I think if they can win majority of these games and he continues to play at this high level, it's kind of hard to argue not giving it to him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think when it comes to MVP races, it's kind of like I relate to the NBA a bit. It's kind of like there's guys that are just amazing. Like Luka's had great seasons, but maybe there's always another guy like a Jokic or like a Giannis that's just a little more flashy, a little more doing just a little better that are always going to get the award. Matthew Stafford has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league pretty much his whole career consistently, especially since he got to the LA Rams. But there's always a Mahomes, there's always a Lamar Jackson, a Josh Allen, someone that's a little more flashy, a little more, marketed, liked by the media. So those guys are always going to get the award. But he definitely, I say this season, deserves to be within the top 3 for that conversation.
And then for the next talking point, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. CMC has taken over Jonathan Taylor for the Offensive Player of the Year race. Sasha, I'm going to come to you on this one, fact or fiction?
I'm going to go with fiction. I think McCaffrey is definitely an incredible player because he really does everything. He runs, he blocks, he catches. But Taylor right now, I feel like he's just unstoppable. And the way he grinds everything out, he's breaking tackles, finishing drives, and every time he touches the ball, I feel like you can really feel like it's going to be a high leverage play. So it keeps it really exciting. I think McCaffrey's kind of like a flashier guy, and then Taylor's impact is just more consistent, and his finishing ability is really strong. So I feel like that really does him well, and I think he's one of the players that most teams have to prepare for and plan for on every play.
I'm going to also agree with Sasha here. Honestly, CMC's having a really phenomenal year after I was kind of looking into it. I mean, this guy has 61 receptions, and he's a running back, and that is the second most, just behind Jamar Chase, who is arguably the best receiver in all of football. So it's kind of crazy, but you just have to still give it to Jonathan Taylor. I still feel like, I know the Colts as a whole didn't have a good game against the Steelers, so that's probably kind of the reason why his kind of stock plummeted. Mm-hmm. But he was still averaging 3.2 yards a carry. And if you're looking at yards per touch by both players, CMC 5.34 yards per touch, and nearly 6 yards for Jonathan Taylor, and he has 4 games with 3 touchdowns. And he leads the league in NFL. I can keep going here. Jonathan Taylor's case, like you even said, he can arguably win MVP. So it's kind of hard for me to disagree and say CMC is the Offensive Player of the Year. But I will say, I won't be surprised if it does go to CMC. And how about this? Taylor MVP, CMC Offensive Player of the Year. Does that make any sense?
No. I think the MVP award is just broken. When Saquon Barkley was 1 game away last year from breaking the all-time rushing record, and obviously he didn't because they had a bigger goal to win the Super Bowl, but he didn't win the MVP in a year where Lamar and Josh Allen were neck and neck, but Saquon was the best player in football last year, and he didn't win the MVP after almost breaking the record. If he didn't win it, when is a running back really ever going to win the award again, unless they do break the record? Overall, though, I'm going to say fiction. As a Niner fan, it hurts to say fiction here, but Jonathan Taylor is just having an otherworldly season. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. When it comes on the ground, CMC's averaging just over 3 yards per carry, which is one of the lowest in the last couple of years for him, but still, you talked about just like the dual threat he is, receiving 60-something receptions, second in the league. It's crazy for a running back. But in terms of value, you might even argue CMC is more valuable because of what he's doing. But just in terms of a Player of the Year award, Jonathan Taylor he has the narrative this year of the Colts are surprisingly good and he's the best player on that team. As long as they keep up their success, I think Jonathan Taylor will probably run away with this award.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you guys on this one. I mean, he's just been unstoppable every single game. Yes, he did have a stinker against the Steelers, but it's just 1 game. I'm not going to depict this rest of the season just on 1 game. A lot of players had stinkers so far this season. I'm not going to pick that whole season. And, they could make a case for MVP. At the end of the day, MVP is a quarterback bias award, which does suck there too. But I also do want to touch up on one more thing here. Today is the NFL trade deadline. There's been a lot of notable trades. Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jalen Phillips to the Eagles, Dearness Jones to the Baltimore Ravens. The list could go on, a lot of notable names. But I want to touch about one team specifically who's going all in and selling. The New York Jets traded Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell, a 2026 and a 2027. And they also traded Quinnen Williams to my Cowboys for a 2026 second-round pick and Mozzie Smith. So, as you know, the Jets, their season's done. Sasha, I'm going to come to you on this one first. What is the future looking like for the Jets at this moment?
I think with them having Sauce Gardner now being traded to the Colts, I think that really shows that they're really eager to win, and I'm excited because I think he's going to be a great attribution to the team. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a really good turnout for them and that they will progress very well having him.
I think for the Colts, it shows they're going all in. They really, I don't think anyone expected. I don't think they even expected to be at this point 7-2. We thought Anthony Richardson was going to be their starting quarterback until it was like Daniel Jones, and now they're 7-2. So I think they're noticing the momentum. They're going all in. The Jets, I mean, it's last year they got Aaron Rodgers, and they were like, oh, you know, we're winning it all. Devontae Adams, and just a year later, they finally won a game. They're like 1-7, 1-6 now. It's just looking bad. They're trading everyone, kind of like a fire sale they're having today. So I mean, the Jets, it's going to be a rebuild. So, I mean, that's what it is. But the Colts, this is a big move. Honestly, I don't know if I'm ready to say the Colts they're contenders. I don't think I would pick them to win the AFC. But this move, having a cornerback one like Sauce Gardner to go up against teams like the Chiefs, to go up against teams like the Bills, that's going to be huge for them down the line.
So the Colts secondary is beat up. And the addition of Sauce Gardner is just amazing. It's like perfect for them. Sauce Gardner hasn't allowed more than 2 receptions in a game this whole year. Like, he's been locked down, and I don't, if you want to do the argument, oh, he passed PI all the time, he's grabbing all the time, it doesn't matter. He's not getting called. He's playing clean football. I think it's a great addition. And then for the Jets, as you said, they're rebuilding, finally. You know, the Aaron Rodgers stint was just a mess. And now you have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. I mean, come on. I know they suck at draft. Actually, they don't suck at drafting. They drafted Sauce Gardner. They drafted Quinnen Williams.
And now they're gone.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson's still there. Hopefully,
we do have 30 minutes. I've had my phone right here, and there has been no trade since we started the show. So this has kind of been a waste of my phone up here. But the Jets, they're kind of rebuilding, and we'll see what they do in the future.
Yeah, I'm really, at this point, you know, they got 2 for Sauce, and then I forgot to mention too, they got a first for Quinnen Williams as well. Forgot to mention that too. So they got 3 in this trade deadline alone. Then, like you mentioned, they have 5 over the next 2 years. They really can't screw this up. But at the end of the day, you know, it's the same old Jets. But hopefully it's a rebuild year for this one, and then I keep saying hopefully Garrett Wilson stays on the team for the receiving end, and then Adonai Mitchell now another receiving for that Jets receiving core. I'm still praying out for Adonai Mitchell. His career still turns out great, even if it's on the Jets. His career wasn't like looking like great on the Colts. I still have a lot over him for me coming out of Texas, but yeah, that's the Jets. Let's see what they're going to be able to do in the next 2 years.
And then quickly, just before we head out, you're wearing Cowboy blue. It looks like kinda, but hey, Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson kind of helping the defense. What are your quick thoughts?
I mean, hey, we'll go from the bottom-ranked defense to the 30th ranked defense. So at least let's not last. But with Logan Wilson finally taking the linebacker core, DeMarvion Overshown finally going to get back as well to a healthy scratch. At least Kenneth Murray won't be seeing the field as much because, oh my, it's definitely been something watching that linebacker core this year. And then Shamar James for the rookie, he's also been having a phenomenal season for our linebackers. But at the end of the day, it's the Cowboys. You know, their season's pretty much gone a ways there too. But I'm still going to be, you know, praying off of them for the false hope.
Key pieces for next year. We'll see how they do. All right, that about wraps everything up. Thank you for tuning in. Please give us a follow on Instagram and X at TitanTVCSUF and on TikTok at TitanTV_CSUF. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Titan Sports.
Woo.